Hey guys, welcome to Spoiler Watch, Forge Watch's featured spoils. We got a couple of really cool spoilers for you today that we're going to segment going through a draft. We got a little bit of a theme going today. Let's see if we can hit that in draft. I got the first card up here for you, a really interesting Uterra spell. Noetherian, why don't you start off talking about the spell a little bit?
Sounds great. So, one of the themes that we have today is spoilers that are interesting in draft. And so we're going to start off by spoiling a rare card that adds some additional poison to the draft environment. Spore Torrent. Target creature gains 2 poison. Now, obviously, you look at the level 1 and you think, hey, this is not so good. Isn't there a better card available in draft in the Uterra faction that poisons more than this? Uh,
Uh, I don't know. Personally, I think this could lead to some toxic gameplay. I mean, this card is just strictly worse. It's
Oh
it's a
no.
higher rarity, and it's just strictly worse than Toxic Spores. I hope this card has something extra, a little oomph for it. What do you think, Fox?
I'm still I can't handle your puns, Kit. I just can't. But in all seriousness, I think this is going to take an interesting direction because I don't think they'd make a strictly worse card at a higher rarity. So I think this starts worse, but then has something that pushes it over the edge, and I'm really excited to see what it is.
yeah. So, in any case, we're going to start our draft, and at the end of the draft, we will show you the rest of Spore Torrent, and you can decide for yourself whether it is a better pick or a worse pick than Toxic Spores in draft. So I'm going to cut over to SolForge here, and we have pack 1, pick 1. Let's talk about our options. What do you?
Wow, you've got like three of the top five picks that you could ever take in this draft.
Yeah, this is a great way to finish off our set 1 draft videos. What great riches we have available.
Can I just have this pack? I just want it,
Fox, four factions are
all of it.
sir.
Fine. Can I have all the Uterra and Aloyan cards in this pack? I'll skip my next 3 picks. Just give me those 3 cards.
I mean, in a legitimate world where we're not just clearly taking Wirewood Patriarch to go with our Terra theme, what do you guys think is the pick here lately in draft? What would you guys take?
Fox?
Oh, you're making me speak first on the difficult question. I see how it is. So both of these are tied for my number 1 spot. And
Uh,
honestly, I really have no clue which one's better in draft. But my tendency would probably to take the Battle Tactician simply because it still has an effect underleveled. Patriarch is a card you need to draw in order to get the effect, and you need to play it. Battle Tactician, you can still draw it in rank 3, and it'll still have effect, even if it's a tiny effect. Patriarch, you have to level it every level, and while it has a much more powerful raw effect, it's harder to get to go off consistently. So I'd probably take the consistent card, but gosh dang it, I really want both of them.
Yeah, so Fox makes a great point there. Weirwood Patriarch and Battle Tactician, both among the top cards in Set 1 draft. When Patriarch works, it is more likely to win you the game. You get down your Patriarch 3. I think I've done over 300 Set 1 drafts, and I can probably count on one hand the number of drafts where somebody got down a Patriarch 3 and still managed to lose the game. So, Patriarch is much bombier, but yeah, it needs to be leveled aggressively. The other thing I want to throw in there is that I think against Patriarch and Battle Tactician, I would not take Zerath. But Zerath is a very interesting first pick in draft, and if you have not tried the archetype of Enrage the Regenerating Guy, you really should try it. It's a lot of fun. I've been seeing a bunch of Enrages floating around in the middle of packs lately, so I think that this strategy has been relatively open for me, but as soon as I say that on a video, it will, all the Enrages will start getting gobbled up.
For me, I have a firm policy in draft, and that is always pick the Stonefish Giant. Now that is not a hard and fast rule. I wouldn't take Stonefish Giant number 20 over Ferocious Roar, but when you have a Stonefish Giant with text, I think you take it, and that for me, even if we weren't just going to Uterra it up, I would still take the Wirewood Patriarch.
So let's take the Wirewood here and see where it leads us. Interesting second pack. Pick Kit. What do you think our good options are here?
So I loved experimenting Windborn Hellion with Windborn Hellion when draft first came out, but then I hated losing, so I stopped playing it. Uh, I think Charnel Titan is a really, really great aggressive card, but your opponent needs to be playing specific factions for it to have real relevance. I think that those are two of the stronger picks in the pack, but the last one that I think that I want to mention is actually the one I'm going to take, which is Matrix Warden. It's a rule of 6 creature, a creature that has 6, 10, 16 power at all levels if it buffs itself, but otherwise it's a half creature, a creature that sits on the board while putting favorable trades elsewhere. I really, really, really like Matrix Warden, and I've actually, Matrix Warden is the only card I've ever gotten 15 of in a draft, and I 3-0'd that draft. So I am very, very, very happy. I want as many Matrix Wardens as he has fingers.
Wow, 15 Wardens in one draft.
And only card I've ever gotten 15 of.
In any case,
I don't even know how to respond to that.
So I think we're going to take the Matrix Warden here. But interesting note with Set 2 coming out, I think one of the problems that Windborn Hellion suffers from is there just isn't quite a strong enough supporting cast right now. Depending on what type of interesting mobility creatures we see in Set 2, it might be worth taking another look at Windborn Hellion next month.
Specifically, I think we just need more movement creatures at common.
Yeah.
In other factions, especially.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're absolutely right. And of course, we haven't gotten many common previews yet, but yeah, common creatures with mobility help Windborn Hellion a lot. So I'm going to take the Matrix Warden, and now we are in Uterra Aloyan. Anybody who's been drafting at all recently knows that this is a relatively common, a relatively strong faction combination. Fox, what do you think of this pack?
It's actually a pretty interesting pack. I actually kind of like all the cards in the pack. Yes, even Soothing Radiance. That card just sometimes blows people out. But it's still, in my book, for draft, usually a bad spell, and so you'll always take a bad creature over a bad spell. And there's good creatures in this pack. Stag is fine if you want to prolong the game. It's got a relevant body at level 2. Not really relevant at the other 2 levels. Sparkblade has a really relevant body at level 3, level 2 as well, but not so much as other levels. I think the card I'd actually take would be Palladium Pulse Mage, mainly because the activate on it is extremely strong. It's another card that creates favorable trades in other lanes, and it's already good on its own. We're in the right factions to buff it up potentially. And we also have a Patriarch, so it's a creature we can play that gets buffed by Patriarch. So while we're not picking it, well, I wouldn't pick it for just because it's a 2/7. I still would pick it because it's a 2/7 with a very relevant couple of sentences on it.
Yeah, no argument from me. Kit, you okay if we pick Pulse Mage?
I personally favor Stag slightly, but Pulse Mage is my second pick, and I think it's close, so I'm happy with Pulse Mage.
Okay, let's do that. And we get another chance at Sparkblade. What do you think here, Kit?
I think that I absolutely hate Steel Shaper. A lot of people vehemently disagree with me, but I don't like 6/10s, and I don't like 12/16s. The fact that it can't hit itself makes me not really ever want to pick it. I take the lower depreciation Sparkblade Assassin. That level 2 is huge, and it's a level 2 card that can help you deal with level 3 cards. The level 1 body is not that much worse than the other cards in the pack. I personally, I think Sparkblade Assassin's an amazing card that I'm usually very happy to play. If you do level it during player level 1, it's a very aggressive play in player level 2. And I think that could make up for any draws where we stumble where we don't get a Patriarch.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to take the Sparkblade here. I'm one of the people who would disagree with you on Steel Shaper. I think Steel Shaper is a reasonable card, although Weirwood Patriarch is going to push me to take exactly the opposite type of cards that I want to take with Steel Shaper Savant. I think that I like running Steel Shaper better with big beefy Aloyan creatures, and I think this deck is going to end up being more Uterra by virtue of the Patriarch, and I think Patriarch has a lot of synergy with other stuff in Uterra. So let's take the Assassin, and final pick. I guess no one's going to argue if I take the Feral Instinct over the Force Field, right?
But
Nope.
Force Field is such a bad card. We
Yeah.
need to take. I'm just kidding.
Okay, I'm going to take the Feral Instinct and then let Fox talk about this next pack of 6.
Woo!
Oh gosh, what a pack.
Yeah, tough call. Go for it.
So for this pack, there's 2 cards that I'm looking at primarily. Other than Ghost Scale Cobra, who obviously fits in with the theme of poison from Sportorn earlier. But I mean, for me, it's between Matrix Warden and Grove Hunters. Both are very strong cards. They have the potential to have impact on other lanes, but my preference would be the Matrix Warden. Once again, rule a 6 creature that has the option of shifting a section of that power over to another lane while still providing a body. And I think it's easily one of the best cards you can take in draft, and easily, if not the best common in Aloyan, one of the top 3.
Yeah, Matrix Warden is just such a great utility card. So rare that I draw Matrix Warden and I don't have some kind of use for it, and Patriarch makes it even better because if you toss the buff on someone else, Patriarch will sometimes show up the following turn to make it a 5/5. So
I also can't help but notice we don't have 15 of them yet.
we do not have 15 of them yet. So
We do not.
let's start on the path to 15.
And remember, he can be hit by Patriarch.
So
Oh, gosh.
for me here, I am only looking at Matrix Warden and Jetpack, and I mean, honestly, with the creatures we have, with the ability to shift power with the Matrix Warden and to buff the at least the level 1 bodies with Patriarch, but even later just having those really good creatures, I don't think we need a Jetpack yet. We have no creatures that are going to directly take benefit from that Jetpack, and we already have a Feral Instinct. If we didn't have a Feral Instinct, I would lean a lot more towards Jetpack, but I still don't know that I would take it over Matrix Warden. I'm absolutely in love with Matrix Warden.
Yeah, so I share your love of Matrix Warden. I think it's really important when people go through draft for them to think through how they're going to win games that get stalled on the board. Now, if you're playing with Scrapforge Titan, or if you get if you're playing with Scrapforge Titan, if you get a lucky Krogius draw in your draft, you don't have to worry about the board stalling out forever. But sometimes with similarly matched decks, you do get board stalls, and having something like a Jetpack or a Feral Instinct or some type of mobility if you're in Tempest can really make a big difference. So I think Jetpack's a great card in draft, but Feral Instinct serves much of the same role, and we like our Matrix Wardens.
We do.
Yeah, I might be slightly biased towards that Jetpack, but that's only because I love alphas in draft.
Yeah, we
Absolutely love them.
have not seen any alphas yet, but yes, the if you haven't tried the alpha plus Jetpack strategy, you should try it. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, it is so much fun.
So what are you thinking here, Fox?
All right, well, we've got some interesting picks here. Energy Surge is just, in general, very bad in draft. It's a constructed card, straight up. Sparkbot is very much an average creature at all levels. And Runegrove Guardian is a low attack creature with a very large, behind.
Donk!
Oh gosh. But even then, his stats aren't that much better than, say, a Munitions Drone, and Munitions Drone has a relevant effect. So my pick would be Munitions Drone here. Plus the fact that at level 2, he can still be hit by a level 1 Patriarch.
What do you think, Kit?
I think with the number of Matrix Wardens we have, we do not need the munitions drone effect. I actually don't think there's going to be a time that we're going to play munitions drone. The fact that Bramblewood Guardian can trade on its own with a good chunk of on-level creatures, especially at level 2, it can trade with almost every level 2 creature and is a great target for these Matrix Warden buffs. I personally prefer the Bramblewood Guardian over the drone. But again, if we didn't have those Matrix Wardens, I would lean towards the drone. It's because we have 3 Wardens already that I don't pick up the drone.
Yeah, I think I'm going to vote in favor of the Bramblewood Guardian here, just because I think that like a 5/9 early game with the Matrix Warden, it can be really difficult for a lot of decks to deal with. So I'm going to toss us the Bramblewood Guardian, and I don't think we will miss that not having that munitions drone. So this is an interesting one. This is a situation where I don't hesitate to take the Deepwood Deep Branch Prowler because I love having some. Let me sort by attack here. Love having some really high attack level 1 creatures to use as blockers later in the game. But I can imagine that one of you might try to talk me into the Bear Rider.
Well, I think that Matrix Warden already covers that rule of 6 role quite well. So I don't want to take the Prowler. I think that if those Matrix Wardens were other creatures, I would definitely favor the Prowler. On that reason, the fact that we already have 3 Wardens to fill that role, I would take the Bear Rider, but I'm not horribly against Prowler. It's like 60-40 for me towards the Bear Rider.
Fox?
For me, I would snap pick the Bear Rider. Every time I've played Prowler in draft, it's disappointed me. Every time it's been played against me, it's been very disappointing. Whereas Bear Rider has wrecked my face.
Uh-huh.
Ever slapped a jetpack on a level 2 Bear Rider? It's no, just never. It's a painful experience.
So Noetherian, I know this is unbearable for you, but I think you need to take the bear.
Taking it. And we have Toxic Spores, which is the set 1 version of Spore Torrent. So let's grab the Toxic Spore. And let's see. Kit, what do you think of this pack?
I can't help but notice there's a dinosaur in this pack. We wouldn't happen to know anything about dinosaurs, would we?
It would sure be cool.
I don't know, they're extinct.
It would sure be cool at some point if Stoneblade would print some dinosaur tribal. There's so many fun dinosaurs in set 1. But I don't think we've seen any previews so far for anything that cares about dinosaurs.
Huh. We might have to fix that.
Huh.
But you know what we have seen a preview for? It's poison! And I happen to see a certain snake that would love to contribute to that goal. I also legitimately think it's the best card in the pack. It is by far my favorite draft card to pick in Uterra at rare or lower, and I just love the card. I think it is Venom Hound. It's just better. It's got better stats. It functions as a rule of 6 blocker if you're poisoning the target across from it. It's just I think it's a really strong card. That is my pick.
Yeah,
I really like it.
I like Venom Fang as well. 2 heroics in this deck, in this pack. Phytobomb really being more of a constructed card. I've gotten Deep Branch Ancient to work on a small number of occasions in draft, but you need to have a ton of cards like Aetherhounds and Bright Tusk Sower and Grove Matriarch in order to make it work.
You know what would make it better? If it was a dinosaur.
It would be better if it were a dinosaur. So anyway, I'm going to grab the poison, and let's see. So Fox, I think I know what you like out of this pack.
Oh, you definitely know what I like out of this pack. We're going Jetpack all day.
Jetpack.
It's a relevant buff spell that also gives mobility, which is always good. And there's also the occasional time where somebody will Uranti bolt a lethal creature to keep it from hitting, and if you have your jetpack in hand, you can just say no to that.
You also have to remember the pop culture value of putting a jetpack on a snake and flying it across. I believe there was a
Oh my gosh.
from Samuel Jackson that had that.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, was that
Oh my
movie called
gosh.
Venom Fangs on a Plane?
I'm pretty sure it was snakes on the plane.
Okay.
Just gonna say that.
Okay.
But Venom Fang is a snake, so it's okay.
So what do you think about
We
this
got
pack kit?
Patriarch makes me slam the Aetherhounds. Jetpack makes me slam the Alpha. Unfortunately, Patriarch's a better card than Jetpack. I take the Aetherhounds.
And I think that, yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. And I think that even if we have trouble leveling our Patriarch, that just having the ability to block 2 lanes is occasionally relevant. And so if we don't level the Aetherhounds, it still might be useful. If we fail to level the Alpha, it's nothing.
That is absolutely correct. Fox,
as
do you
much
disagree?
as I love Alpha, the fact that we have both 3 Matrix Wardens and a Werewood Patriarch makes me take the Aetherhounds, simply because being able to slap 2 bodies on the board with 1 play makes Matrix Warden even better.
Yeah, because Matrix Warden 3 onto an Aetherhound 1 is another way that you can sometimes win the game.
Yep.
Yes. Whichever one doesn't get blocked.
Dinosaur!
Yeah,
Got
so...
a dinosaur. It's a good dinosaur, too. We
Yeah.
need dinosaurs.
I can't help but notice this one gets bigger, but it doesn't do anything else for other dinosaurs. We really need some dinosaur tribal.
Yes, so we're going to grab the Delver here, which also is a pretty good synergy with Patriarch. I've played before underleveled Delvers with Patriarch, and the buff from a Patriarch 2 can make Delver 1 really quite scary even later in the game.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, and this is a tough call for our last pick. Which of you wants to grab this one? Fox?
Oh, man. So, what I've experienced most recently is that the kinds of decks that you want Technosmith are the kinds of decks where you're slowing the game down. So, say you're going on the Alpha plan. But the kinds of decks where you want Grove Huntress are the ones that you have like multiple Matrix Wardens. So for me, especially with the fact that the metagame in draft has seemed to be more aggressive to me recently, I'd take the Grove Huntress. But Technosmith is totally a fine pick.
So for me, I think Technosmith is a better card, but I'm still taking Grove Huntress here because of how aggressive our deck's leaning. Our deck looks like a deck that can play aggressive, yet survive late, except against bombs, so it beats the typical Uterra Aloyan deck most of the time. I'm not calling any shots, but
Yeah.
we have a very aggressive Uterra Aloyan deck compared to what I'm used to seeing in that faction type, and this will also hedge us against the other decks that Fox was talking about, the other typically aggressive decks that you see like Uterra Tempest.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually do take the Grove Huntress here.
Okay, excellent. I'm not going to argue. Oh, wow. So...
So
Okay.
have you heard?
I'm done with this draft. We're done. Doesn't matter what we take for the rest of it. We're good to go.
Yeah, so I think if one Patriarch was good, 2 Patriarchs are better. I think it's even better than the second Aetherhounds. So,
Bye-bye, Forge Plate.
so
Bye-bye, Jetpack.
but this is an interesting one. Kit, what do you think in this pack?
So I have to say that this pack features 3 cards that I absolutely love to pick and draft. Nexus Pilot, Matriarch, and War Charger. I think that of them, Nexus Pilot is the least powerful because it's the least versatile. It has to sit in the center lane, which means you have to baby that center lane in order to get value out of it if you've leveled it. So I would pick one of the other cards. I think War Charger is an aggressive card that can actually be used as a bomb, an aggressive pressure card, and a great defensive card with its butt. And Grove Matriarch is simply just a defensive card that leaves behind a body. So I'm personally going to take the War Charger. And the thing that really, really, really drives this home is the Matrix Wardens. I know that we have 2 Patriarchs now and we can build around them, and that might make Matriarch a little bit better, but we actually have no cards in our deck without Jetpack or Feral Instinct that push through damage. I really want this War Charger.
Any
I'll
arguments,
agree
Fox?
with you there. I'm not going to argue with him because I agree with him, but I found something relevant that you sometimes gets passed over is you'll find people who will play that turn 1 Nexus Pilot, and a War Charger will straight up trade with it.
That is true.
Yeah, and actually, right, War Charger's one of the few early game cards that trades with Nexus Pilot, or at least one of the few early game commons that trades
And
with Nexus
Charnel
Pilot.
Titan.
Yes.
It's a very, very good card to have.
Okay, so shall we take another?
I definitely believe so.
Okay,
Yes, please.
let's take that. And now, I think this is a case where neither Electronet or Druid's Chant are very interesting. With multiple Patriarchs, surely we want another 2/9 body.
I concur.
Yep.
And
Yes. Yes.
speaking of bodies that like Patriarch, 17312 is great with Patriarch. And on top of that, this is another poison creature. And poison is generally useful in draft. And with cards like Spore Torrent on the way in set 2, I think poison will only be getting better in draft.
I also have been, even without Patriarch, actually a fan of Cadaver's Thicket, just because of the trades it can enable. Nobody wants to block it. Just sits there and nickel and dimes your opponent. Even if they have a
I would
card
also
that
like
trades
to-
favorably with it, it's gonna die.
I would also like to note that it's a plant, which makes me very, very happy.
Oh,
yeah,
Very
what
happy.
do you know about plants, Fox?
Well, I do know that recently there was a spoiler that went up on the main site that just happens to love plants, and Cadaver's Thicket is a plant. It's very, very good. It also
can you remind us
combines
what that
with
spoiler was
Cultivate.
on the main site?
That spoiler is Nuada's Faith's Flourish, and oh, I love this card. I want to get this card and turn all the plants into 7/7s and 14/14s and 21/21s.
So it's a cultivate on a stick, or on a tree folk.
Yeah.
No, it's an elephant.
It's an
Oh.
L. Oh.
A bright tusk.
It is.
So I will toss the thicket into our deck, and let's see. So this is probably a choice between the Stag, the Jetpack, or the Aegis Conscript. Kit, you want to give your opinion?
So I think the way our deck's going, that we really want to start building around the cards that we have. We're 20 cards in. I don't like the fact that once you hit level 3 with Stag, you can never buff it again with Patriarch, and that makes it, not a card that you want to level. I don't think we're going to get a lot of value out of it late game. We have plenty of aggressive cards to deter early plays, so I think that Stag is not the card I want to pick. We already have a Jetpack and a Feral Instinct, which makes me not want to take another Jetpack. We have no cards that make us lean towards it. So by default, by not wanting to pick the other two cards that I think are good in the pack, I pick the Conscript. The fact that it can give armor to some of our high defense creatures can maybe swing some things. But even then, I'm not excited to take Conscript. I just think it's the least bad option for our deck.
Yeah, and it can be good with Patriarch, and also even a small amount of armor on something that's been buffed by a Matrix Warden can be relevant. So, Fox, would you like to argue on behalf of either of the other cards?
Actually, I much prefer Aegis Conscript here because its ability is almost always relevant. It can swing trades very easily, and it's a decent body at all levels. Well, not a great body, it's a body that is relevant with our double Patriarch.
What we could do is we could take natural selection to help alter out the balance of the algorithm, so people might see a little bit less natural selections. Oh, hey, it's getting picked over Savants and Glowstride Stags and Conscripts. Heck, this card got picked over a Jetpack. It must be good. Let's get that out of here for a little while.
Yeah,
should listen to me, by the
I
way.
don't know that we're influential enough to really swing the algorithm given all the other drafts that are taking place. Natural Selection may be my least favorite card to play in draft. So I'm going to grab Aegis Conscript, and
It's his favorite card in Constructed, guys.
so Fox, what do you think here?
Oh, this is a tough pack for me.
It is.
I'm actually going to discount the Vault Technician here, even though it's a rule of 6 creature, because there's two creatures that go very, very well with what we're trying to do here. Light Shield Patrol is very easy for us to activate. We already have 4 ways to activate it, just in level 1 with the 3 Matrix Wardens and a Grove Huntress. but at the same time, we also have plants and poison, and Thicket is awesome as well.
So those are the two cards I'm looking at as well. I think that with one Thicket, I would lean slightly towards Patrol, but it's like 51-49. I always want at least one Thicket in my Uterra decks. I think Thicket works better with our two Wirewood Patriarchs, which makes me lean. Again, that's why it's still 49. But I'm going to go ahead and let Noetherian pick which of the two cards he wants.
So I think I'm going to have to go with Thicket with 2 Wirewood Patriarchs and 3 Matrix Wardens. In particular, because of how much people hate blocking Thicket, I think that Thicket with a Matrix Warden, especially with the extra health that it has over Patriarch, at levels 1 and 2, Matrix Warden on a Thicket is really going to be almost as useful as Matrix Warden on a Patrol. And the Patriarch obviously hits Thicket more easily than it hits Patrol, because even level 1 Patriarch buffs Thicket 1 and 2. So I think the synergy with Patriarch is better with Thicket, and I think the synergy with Matrix Warden is not that much worse. And obviously, I'm in the mood for poison today, so we're going to take the Thicket. But it's a close call.
Indeed it is.
So, Fox?
Why don't you lead us off with this one, Noetherian?
Oh, why don't I lead us off with this one? Okay. So, let's see. Metasight is an interesting card. I think we've got absolutely the wrong deck for Metasight, but I just wanted to call it out because it's a card that got a lot of interest in Draft early on. If you've been playing much Draft, you've probably gotten run over by an Uterra Tempest deck when you played an early Metasight. Nonetheless, in battles between relatively slow Uterra Aloyan decks, the deck with the Metasight often comes out on top. So we've got the wrong type of Uterra Aloyan deck for Metasight to be good, but if you're rocking some Forge Guardian Betas and some Forge Plate Sentries, having one Metasight to play judiciously can be quite good. Given all of our Matrix Wardens, I don't think we need another Munitions Drone, and so I'm going to vote Bear Rider here. I think we're not very likely to level the Bear Rider early, given what we have in our deck, and maybe we get lucky and are able to smack it with a Patriarch too.
That was some very deep-wood thinking of you, Noetherian. I agree.
So let's
I'm a fan of that pick as well.
Okay. Oh, wow. So if I knew this was coming, I would have taken the Light Shield Patrol earlier.
Are we all in? I think we're all in.
I think we're all in. I'm
Yes.
not taking a Ravager or Spores over a Thicket.
Okay.
I know what I want.
I know what I want.
Okay. What do you want, Fox?
We want an Alpha Strike. We
I
both
want
do.
Alpha. We both want Alpha. We already have the jetpack.
Yep. We are.
So
and we
it's
are.
a relevant card to level.
Yep. And we already have the Feral Instinct. So yeah, we take the Alpha here easily. So.
I don't think we could take it. Can we?
It's our fourth. We probably do not need a fourth Thicket, and there's other relevant cards in the pack. In particular, so we already have a Sparkblade Assassin. Probably don't need a second Sparkblade Assassin. One Nexus Pilot is never a bad idea. Single Nexus Pilot in the deck certainly is something we could get use out of. Metamind Adept can potentially be useful for finding a Patriarch. Especially an underleveled Metamind Adept can help smooth over a draw later on in the game. Second Jetpack to help us maybe activate an Alpha more frequently, or move a Cadaverous Thicket into another lane to poison a creature that needs to die. I really don't know what we do here.
I think my pick is either Adept or Pilot. I lean more towards Pilot, just so we have a pressure card and a low depreciation center blocker. I like Metamind Adept to draw cards, but we don't have any bombs other than Patriarch. We actually have a lot of really good low depreciation cards. I don't think we need Adept. I think Pilot's more in our bag.
Fox?
For me, actually, I would like to take the Stag here because, like, we have already a pretty good game plan when it comes to being aggressive. So I kind of want a card that hedges nicely against the aggressive decks.
So I can certainly see the argument there, and obviously Stag 1 works excellently with Patriarch. Uh, I think I'm going to break the vote in favor of Nexus Pilot. I think it's close. I think I'm going to break the vote in favor of Nexus Pilot, but I think there's certainly an argument to be made for Stag, and I definitely like Metamind Adepts, or at least I like 1 or 2 Metamind Adepts, but not over the first Nexus Pilot.
Dinosaurs! We have
Yeah.
to take a dinosaur.
Speaking of low depreciation blockers, also potentially a nice pressure card if you level it.
I love the level 3 version of this. It hits the magic level of toughness while being just a huge beating. Oh, you can't kill me? Here, take 22 to the face. The fact that we have a jetpack and a feral instinct makes this even better.
Yeah, so I think Lurker is great late game if you level it. If you don't level it, it's still relevant. I mean, it's just an incredibly versatile card. The only time that I'm sad to have a Lurker in my hand is when I'm playing out Lurker 2 onto an empty board. Lurker 2 onto an empty board generally doesn't go well. But otherwise, Lurker is good in so many situations. So we take another dinosaur, even though...
Easily.
Yes, even though set 1 does not have any dinosaur tribal.
What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. So, Fox, what do you think about this pack?
I want the alpha. I always want the alpha.
I want the adept.
So, I think I'd rather have the first adept over the second alpha, given that we only have 1 jetpack.
We passed so many.
Yeah, if with multiple jetpacks, maybe I think differently, but I think I think we'd like to be doing more damage early on, and I think in particular, I think we want rank 2 to be a really good player rank for us, and an adept 1 to help smooth over a rank 2 draw could be a big deal. So I'd like to at least try the adept. Sorry, Fox.
That's totally fine.
Does anybody disagree
easy.
with taking Life Shaper here?
Oh, yeah, Life Shaper. Life Shaper, I think, is my favorite shaper to play in draft, and this is like a perfect
12
deck.
to 16.
Yeah, this is a perfect deck for Life Shaper. Yeah, I know. I know that you don't like 12-16s in general, but if you're going to play a 12-16, Life Shaper is the right one to play.
No, it's a sign. We have 12 Aloyan cards to 16 Uterra cards.
I'm sorry.
The deck is telling us to pick 12-16.
I see. Okay.
I think we should end on the poison card, even though I think strength is better in our deck.
Strength is probably slightly better in our deck, although realistically we're not going to play much of either of them.
Yeah.
So, the nice thing about any poison card, whether it be Toxic Spores or whether it be Spore Torrent, is that poison is removal that will eventually kill your opponent's creature, regardless of how big it is, unless the creature has lots of armor or regen. But there's a lot of nasty bombs, or like, rank 3 War Chargers, which, can eventually be whittled down by your Toxic Spores too, even if it takes a couple turns.
So this is actually interesting. While we have this Toxic Spores on our screen, let's see how this common Uterra removal spell in set 1 compares to our rare removal Uterra spell in set 2.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Let me bring up the other one. So
I bet it's not so sporable. Would you look at that? Doesn't that seem very exciting? This is like Toxic Surge.
It is like Toxic Surge, and the fact that it does 2 poison at level 1 all of a sudden is looking pretty darn good. Especially,
They could have easily made this 1, 2, 3 like the other surges, but I mean, I think this is amazing. Like, this is, you have Contagion Surge that gives -2/-2. That's not really removal. That's not pressure. That's not really doing anything to that card. It might make a trade, whereas this outright will eventually kill a creature. and it really it stacks up. That level 2 one, that's 6 damage. That's nowhere close to what even a level 3. You'd need 2 level 3 contagion surges to do a full turn worth of sport torrents damage. Now, granted, contagion surge is immediate, but I mean, this is in a completely non-removal oriented faction. I actually, for me, I find this card better than Botanimate.
Also has it is in a non-removal oriented faction, and it is in a life gain faction. So one of the things to keep in mind when you're drafting poison, and perhaps with Spore Torrent you will start drafting poison more often, is that poison works really well with life gain. Because the downside on poison is that you tend to take some damage while you're waiting for guys to die. But that's not a problem if you have stags or clerics or who knows what other life gain cards we may have in the future. And so drafting a bit of life gain to go with your poison can be a really good strategy.
I gotta say, I think this is one of my favorite cards that have been spoiled by far, especially with the new Aloyan Legendary that was just spoiled, the Chronosculptor. This thing, like, it makes me want to play Uterra Aloyan Control just like I did back in closed beta. Like, this is really, really, really exciting for me. What do you think, Fox? You haven't given any thought yet?
Well, poison has always been one of my favorite mechanics, and now I have a card that I can play and construct it with poison, more than just Venom Fang. I love it. I mean, it's not too hard to find a creature that you want to finish off with a Spore Torrent early on. And so while you may be losing a bit of board presence, you're still killing a creature while you do it. And then later, it's an extra card you get to level every rank.
And you know, I heard a rumor that this is going to work with another card that we might be spoiling today.
Yeah, so I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think the game plan here is we're going to go and load up our Patriarch deck, toss it into the queue, and play a draft game. And after that draft game, we will show off another card which is relevant in draft and perhaps constructed, and may even combo well with Spore Torrent.
Wow. This is going to be the longest drum roll ever, guys.
Oh, and by the way, you want to treat the deck nicely. You don't want to toss it. You want to place it in the queue. Because it's already treated us so well.
It has.